G'day trail runners. Welcome to another episode of the Trail Runners Experience. I'm your host, Daniel Ferrugia. I'm super excited to bring you today's episode. I had a wonderful chat with Malcolm Law of New Zealand. Malcolm has done some incredible things to raising money for charity. He's raised close to $1 million for various charities over the years, and he's done that in the form of incredible running feats, such as the 7 in 7, the 50 in 50, and he's probably bagged more mountain peaks than any other runner in the world. And I say that in all seriousness. Yeah, and he's also now the race director of one of what is being sort of seen as one of the hardest new races on the calendar, and that is the Wild. Its first installment will be coming up in December 2022, and we spent a fair bit of time talking about that today. So enjoy today's episode and prepare to be inspired. I'm very lucky because I live basically very close to where that race actually finishes. You know, and so that was sort of deliberate. When I first moved to Adelaide, my wife and I, we looked around where we'd like to live, and we thought maybe we want to live down near the beach, or maybe do we want to live near the hills? And then we thought the hills would be nice. I mean, and they're definitely hills here. They're not mountains like you guys. So
they're pretty nice hills, though. I really enjoyed that run.
Yeah, it's good, and I think it's got enough challenge in it, like Eurobilla.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
56 Ks. It's about 2,000, bit over 2,000 meters of rise and fall.
Yeah, that's a bit lumpy, isn't it? Yeah,
and the terrain here is, as you may remember, it's real rocky, the ground, and I still, and so very, it's tricky. But, I think that's just the fun thing about trail running is different terrain. I mean, I've spent time, been in New Zealand a few times, and, it's just a different game over there. It's, but, I'm just looking
they've all got their own charm and their own challenge, haven't they? So, it's very hard to, you're not comparing apples with apples when you talk about ultras in Australia versus ultras in New Zealand. It's,
absolutely. I'm very grateful for what I've got here. Like the climbing might not be to the ssame degree as somewhere like New Zealand.
You could be living in the middle of Sydney.
Exactly.
That'd be a lot worse.
I mean, especially right now. But and it's funny. Adelaide's very good in terms of the city. It's a good proximity to the trails. You can be in downtown Adelaide. It's not a huge city, but then bang, you can be up on some nice trails inside 20 minutes.
Yes.
Nice. So you're based in Wanaka, is that correct?
Yeah, we're Wanaka based.
Lovely part. Yeah.
Have you visited?
Yes, I was there at the beginning of last year in January. I went over for the Ultra Easy 100K.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. And I actually do believe that we have crossed paths. I think, if memory serves, you were standing by the side of the track early on at some, yes. I think down near by the river, or by the lake, sorry.
Down by the lake where there was a little washout, and the council in their wisdom decided we needed a marshal there to guide people through, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's
so dangerous.
We're about to climb these crazy, beautiful mountains with cliffs, but that was the most dangerous part of the course.
Well, actually, they weren't even going to let Terry use the track at all. Yeah. And then I suggested to him, look, tell them you're going to have a marshal there.
Yeah.
So we just had the big flood, which is why that had happened. Wanaka was got pretty. The lake level came right up and washed out quite a bit of the lakeside trails.
Really?
Yeah. So that's all fixed now.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. But, I mean, you're really spoiled for choice there in Wanaka. I mean, you've got so many beautiful mountains around you, but you've also got the lovely river there and the lakefront. Yeah. And so you can run flat or you can run mountainous, can't you?
Yeah, there's not much in between. A little bit. There's a couple of places you go in between for some small hills, but it's basically got it.
Yeah, no undulations. Yeah. No, that's fantastic, Mel. So you obviously one of the reasons why I wanted to reach out for you is a few months ago I got I'm a running coach, and one of my athletes sent me the link to this mysterious new race that was going to be in New Zealand, and there was that I had to apply for, and it just and there was a video, and I watched the little video, and I was like, that looks beautiful, and then I saw the stats. It was the crazy elevation, and I clicked away. I was like, get out of here! I don't want to do that. And then I got sent this, and then a few days later, someone sent me the same video. Another friend of mine sent me the video. And I was so the seed got planted, and then sure enough, I applied, and I'm in. I'm ready.
We did accept you, did we? That's good. Yeah, that'd be embarrassing if we hadn't.
I know. I wouldn't. This would make for a really awkward conversation, wouldn't it?
It would, wouldn't it?
Maybe that was my plan all along, just to confront you. No, it was. I was very happy to get accepted, and now I've got a bit of time to train and get ready for it, but it's already it's a long way off, but I've got the focus. So the race is, of course, the Wild. And so I guess to me, yeah, maybe you want to, you've removed your hat that said that there is the Wild.
It has got the, yeah, it's, as we're doing this by audio, there's really no point wearing it.
That's okay. It's a visual.
Off it goes. I'm going to keep my head cool.
Not a visual medium, is it? The podcast, but it's just good for us. But so the Wild, it's a new ultra, and it's been put together by you're the evil mastermind behind it, or maybe say the genius. And I know there's not just you. There's a lot of people involved. I guess I want to know a bit about it. I really want to dig into this race and how you came up with the idea. Sort of your backyard.
Yeah, I think those that have been on certain parts of the course have described me as something of a hybrid of what you just used there. Evil genius, I think, was the common denominator.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some evil to it, but I think the genius, if I dare say, lies in the fact that it's just a stupendous journey, and I'm kind of gobsmacked that we haven't seen the like of it already in New Zealand. No one else has come up with doing it.
What do you mean in terms of the elevation, or just the area that it's in?
We have got at least one race that will give you similar elevation over the same kind of distance. But what we haven't got is something that I would call a pure journey, a nice clean loop through the mountains, nothing convoluted about it at all, no loops within loops or out and backs. It's just a really clean, natural line through the mountains that takes you back to where you started up to 50 hours later.
Amazing.
And it encompasses some iconic mountains. It encompasses some quite secret places that not many people have been to. And right throughout, the scenery is just gobsmacking and the challenge is unrelenting. So I think it's got everything that people who like mountain ultras crave for.
Beautiful.
And that was the idea in putting it together, certainly.
Yeah. No, so I guess because there's 3 races involved, isn't there? There's the 100 miles, the 50 miles, and the 20 miles. And correct. I think none of them are something to sneeze at, are they? They're all pretty tough in their own right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the 20 mile is very doable for anyone with a modicum of fitness.
Yeah.
The first half is very sweet downhill trail. You get a bit of uphill trail, again, quite nothing too arduous, but it does finish. All 3 races finish with a ridge line that will that will scare the bejesus out of some people, particularly if they're doing the 100 mile and they're into their second night and they're 40 plus hours deep into a race. It's dark and they're not thinking straight. It's going to be an interesting place to be. So we're certainly giving a lot of careful thought to that one in terms of safety planning and how we marshal it and just make sure people are safe, which we most definitely will do. But it's going to be an interesting place to be. Yeah,
no doubt. So I mean, as I say, I've got 18 months to get my mind and body ready, and I think a lot of people it's already, for me, that's for 2022. It's the race that'll shape my whole year. That race is getting my preparation, and I think I love the idea of a big loop, or starting or finishing where you started, because I feel like when you do a race like that, where there's or even a point A to point B race is quite good as well, where you feel like you've been on a journey, and you do, and you feel like I almost feel like I'm a different person when I get to the end of a run like that. And I'm sure you can relate to that.
It's kind of weird how you get that feeling from running around in a big circle and ending up where you started, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the A to B. I mean, there's only two formats that interest me really: loop, clean loop, and an A to B. A to B is probably the most genuine journey you can have, because you are literally going from A to B rather than A to A. But it's magical how it still works in a loop, doesn't it? You still feel like there's some point to it, even if all you're doing is getting back to where you started.
It is bizarre, and I think there's that sense of coming home when you are coming back to where you started, and I do like that. I enjoyed that about the Ultra Easy in last year when I did it, and but like it's just it's going to be a really fascinating experience, and I suppose. I'm just curious about this. There's one of your quotes on your website for the Wild is, "It's hard because we made it that way," or something to that effect. What's the deal with making it hard? And I mean, don't get me wrong. This is someone who loves the challenge. We're talking about, for the miler, 11,000 meters of climbing, and and a lot of that will be running along ridge lines and whatnot, and and this is where we're going to delve into a little bit of your own experiences as a runner, and what's the challenge? Why do we challenge ourselves? Why do you want to make it so hard?
I think for me, a huge part of the inspiration behind the event, behind the course, for the miler at least, is the hard rock, which to me, as well as many other mountain ultra runners I know, is kind of like the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
And 3 years ago, I was lucky enough to go out to Colorado and fast pack it over 5 days with our mate Anna Frost, the 2 times winner.
Yep. Who is signed up for the Wild, I imagine, I think.
Who is signed up for the Wild as well.
Yeah. Great.
And it was such an amazing experience. We fast packed over 5 days. We had a day or two off, and then Hard Rock itself was happening while we were still in the town. And I had the great experience actually of being the pacer that brought Andy Hewitt across the line to be the very last finisher with about 2-3 minutes to spare.
Oh wow!
Inside the 48-hour cutoff. So, which is still by far and away the greatest running experience of my life. Was getting Andy to that point. So the entire experience, fast packing it, being a part of the event, just left a huge impression on me. And coming back to New Zealand after that, it was like we should have something. We've got the mountains for this kind of thing.
Yeah,
the whole mindset is changing towards ultra. People are looking for bigger and bigger challenges. We've got to do something that is like the Hard Rock of the South, and that was kind of like my template in my brain when I started seeking out a course where we could do something like that. Was it's got to be a loop, it's got to be clean, it's got to be a pure journey, nothing convoluted about the course. It's got to flow and make sense, and it's got to be at least as tough as Hard Rock, which are kind of, it's going to be really, really interesting to see what kind of times people do, because I think the killer with Hard Rock is the altitude. You're up there at between 3 and 4 and over 4,000 meters for most of the race. We haven't got that kind of altitude, but I think what will be a surprise to many runners, particularly those who are used to running well-groomed North American trails, is the nature of some of the terrain that we're going to be putting people out on. Because as you say, we've got some very long ridge running sections, and really there we're following animal tracks at best.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 of the climbs are basically just straight up the side of a spur to make a ridge line. There is no trail. There will be no markings. you just got to find your way up to that ridge, and off you go. And you know, some of that is like waist high tussock. There's rocks and there's spiny Spaniard, one of our beautiful prickly plants, mingled in amongst it, and it's slow going, and it really takes the energy out of your legs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of thinking the nature of the terrain will probably be pretty much have the same impact on times as the altitude does in hard rock. So I'm expecting the finish times to be very similar.
So would that what would be an elite finish time then, do you think? If a hard rock, it's what is it? 25 or 26?
If anyone's going to go under 24 hours, it is going to be a world-class athlete, without a doubt. It's going to be a Kilian Jornet if we get him here, or
Francois,
or it's going to be someone of that ilk that can go under 24, without a doubt. So I think your Joe Blow athletes are going to be like hard rock. The median finish time is going to be somewhere around high 30s, early 40s.
That'll be me, probably. I would say I'm the middle, or the front of the middle. That's where I would usually be in a race.
I think you'd probably, if I had to guess, I don't know you at all, don't know you running. You're probably going to be somewhere around the 40-hour mark.
Yeah, it's fine.
You've got 50, so if you have a bad day, it's not too bad.
I did a miler a few months ago, just under 24 hours, but it was with only a few thousand meters of elevation. So I did 23 and a half. So, but that, so I think, but this is a different ball game altogether. This is a journey, and no, I'm in for it. I'm excited, and it's like I say, if I'm going to put my body through that kind of punishment, I want it to at least look good. I want my surrounds to look good. I recently did I guess that's the whole point of trail running, isn't it?
Well, that is again fundamental in the way we put the course together. We've deliberately stayed high on ridges for a long way, because once you're up there, the views are just ridiculous.
Dude, that'll slow me down alone, just looking at all the views without feeling.
And look, I think everyone out there should take half an hour longer than they should, just appreciate the views and take a few photos. I mean, it's a lot of it is on land that you're not supposed to be accessing any other time. It is private land that we've been blessed with permission to use, and so there's not too many opportunities to see some of these places, and they definitely need to be savoured as well as raced. Yeah.
What's the highest point of the race?
It's just shy of 2,000 meters. So Mount Cardrona at the top of the Cardrona ski field. I think it's about 1,950 meters.
And that's about 100 Ks in, isn't it? So
that's just shy of 100 K in, yeah.
So but then you get a nice long descent after that, and I mean,
you get a 2,000 meter descent. Oh no, sorry, you get a 1,600 meter descent.
Look, from experience with the little hills here, that's my weakness. And I mean, people go, "Oh, running downhill is great." It's like, no, it can be worse than running uphill, because that's why I fell apart in the ultra easy towards the end. There was I'm not sure what we were coming down, which mountain. It was the last mountain. It's about 20 Ks of just downhill.
Oh, it's constant and bone shattering, isn't it? Yeah.
My ITBs were just screaming, and I just couldn't get a decent pace going at all. And I did probably just as much walking on the way down as I did on the way up some of those climbs,
Right,
so but no, it's definitely food for thought, and so it's a fascinating race. So I love the idea that it also it doesn't finish down at the bottom of you're finishing up at sort of altitude, or about 1,000 meters. Yeah. So
that said, you have got a little downhill at the end. We do give you the pleasure of a nice little run down the piste into the finish line. But I think it is one of the most brutal finishes to an ultra that you can have, because the final ridge line that you traverse before you drop into the ski field at the finish, is a bit of a munter.
A munter.
It's a bit rough. It's bloody steep in places, and each time you think you might be about done with the climb, there's another one there, there's another one there, there's another one there. So particularly in the dark, if you can't see what lies ahead, and say if you're in the second night on your miler, it's going to be a mental battle, that one.
I'm going to say that, but at that point it's too late to ask for your money back, isn't it? So
well, you're already past that point, right?
Oh no, no, it's fine. I don't want it back. No, I know what you mean, but it's very exciting. I'm really I'm in love with that whole Otago region. Basically, it is. I've been to New Zealand a number of times, and the last time was being January last year, and I absolutely love it. But you're not I mean, you've lived there for a long time now, but you're not a true native, are you?
No, I'm not. I hail originally from the UK.
Yeah.
I've lived in New Zealand for nigh on 35 years, and we've lived in Otago for the last 8 of those.
Yeah.
But I've been visiting Otago on a regular basis the whole time I've been here, and the love affair has been a strong one. It just gets stronger the more time I spend here. And you're right, the landscapes are dramatic. They have a certain bleak beauty sometimes, and other times they have the mountains are big. The mountains are
they're jagged,
and often the distance when you're running around these places. We're not right in the big Southern Alps, we're not scaling 2,500 meter peaks and crossing glaciers, but you see a lot of that as you go around the course. So you're on a challenging ridgeline looking across at these massive snow-capped peaks, and it makes for an amazing backdrop.
I mean, I guess to an extent everyone takes where they live for granted, but I think I don't imagine if you get out and amongst it on a very regular basis, whether it's every day or most days, I find it hard. Even where I live, I'm on the edge of a conservation park here, and it's some nice trails. I've got some beautiful trails right where I am, and I've been here for about 8 years, and we've got kangaroos and koalas all around us, and I don't take it for granted. But I think if I didn't get amongst it on the daily basis, I would take it for granted, So I know, I mean, I guess I'm sort of angling towards, I want to find out a bit more about what you have done. And I mean, it's well documented. You're incredible, and you've been podcasts in your book and about your 7-in-7 adventure and your fundraising, and then the 50, was it high 50 50 and 50? Yeah, amazing physically and mentally. But one of the things that I was just mind blown about is I don't know how close you are in your life. You've raised a significant amount of money for various charities. And my big question is, have you cracked the $1 million mark yet?
No, just shy. We're still, I think, last time I totted it up, it sits at about 960,000.
Yeah.
So I'm still. I've got. Hey, I'm an ultra runner. I'm goal oriented. So you know where this is going. Somehow or other, I've got to get across that $1 million line before I'm done.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the next thing will be that does that. It's not going to be anything of the scale and ambition of some of my previous fundraising adventures, simply because I have turned the wrong side of 60, and the body does not recover the way it used to, and it's I've suffered from chronic fatigue as a result of some of those things. I don't ever want to go there again. So I have to be a lot more mindful. So now a lot of the fun comes from putting other people through that instead.
I was going to say, because I feel like you have got a bit of a fascination with finding limits. And I mean, in a sense, you found your limits, your physical limits with what you did, especially with the 50 and 50. So like, I don't want to go right into the 50 and 50. It's a remarkable story and what you did and just but what you went through. But that really was put you in a situation where you are now, where did that sort of lead to the chronic fatigue? That 50
yeah, it was, and it wasn't just the physical nature of the endeavor, but it was mental and emotional exhaustion as well, because that was like a 2-year project, just pulling that thing together. And then there's the 50 days of the challenge itself, which are obviously very physically exhausting. But then I did not give myself enough time to chill out after that, and I got straight into making the film, finishing the fundraising, and I was just going at life way too hard, and I just essentially burnt out, and boom, a very miserable time for the best part of a year with that, and not something I care to repeat, not something I'd wish on my worst enemy.
No, but I think it's a really kind of a good message that you're so open about that, because I have heard you talk about it in various podcasts, and that it did, and I do think that especially ultra runners, we're a little bit arrogant, a bit cocky, and you do need it to a certain degree, but that when we're never going to break, we're never, but I think the human body, on a long enough timeline, it does have a breaking point.
Yeah, I mean, I'd certainly started to believe in that sense of infallibility. That my strength over the years was not being fast. I'm very much a middle of the pack runner, but I did seem to have a really good ability to recover from one day to the next, and therefore I could go and do these multi-day challenges. I wouldn't do them fast, but hey, I'd do them. And so I started to believe I was unbreakable. Yeah. And you're right, with that arrogance and with that casual attitude to it, you really do open yourself up to a big fall. And I think it's clearly the physical element is well understood, but I think the bit that people tend to underestimate, and which quite often is the final trigger that leads to the downfall, is the mental and emotional stress. We just don't take account of the fact that, hey, we're ultra runners. Yeah, that's physically brutal. We know that. But we're ultra runners who also have to live a life, have a job and a family. And we fail to take account of the fact that, look, if we're stressed at work, that's going to affect us. If we're short on sleep, that's going to affect us. If we're stressed in our relationship, that's going to affect us. So I think, as ultra runners, we need to be a lot more holistic in our thinking about what a healthy approach to ultra running is. And probably a lot more of us need to be taking a lot more time either out or taking it easy than generally we do. There's a lot of testosterone in this sport. There's a lot of it's great because it's when I say there's a lot of ego, I'm thinking more of not ego in the I'm the greatest, I'm super competitive, but we're all battling ourselves in that sense. And we take pride in being we take pride in our Strava record that shows we've done 5,000 kilometers this year or whatever.
Exactly.
There's all this stuff going on, and as you say, we fall into the trap of believing we're unbreakable, and nobody is unbreakable. No. Everybody eventually will crumble if they don't manage it properly.
Yeah, I always say, I always sort of think if mind over matter was was true, like, why can't I run 100 meters in under 10 seconds? Because there are limitations on what we want to do. But I mean, I guess you have to go into it with that sense of, I don't know, confidence. But I really am. I guess now what you're doing with races like this, and I know you've done a lot of stuff for the running community, like a lot of stuff, and I guess now you're facilitating the opportunity for people to find their own limits, by creating these mad adventures. And I guess, is that what you're thinking? Is that sort of the ethos behind it?
Yeah. Probably not. It probably wasn't a conscious decision to shift in that direction. I'd always said I'll never get involved in actually organising a race. That had been my position for many, many, many years. And it was that hard rock experience that changed that.
Yeah.
And then, like, earlier this year, we went out and we fast packed the 5 day. We fast packed over 5 days. We fast packed the 100-mile course for the Wild.
Yeah.
Which all those little videos you see were taken on that fast pack expedition, and it really came home to me then, because it was like, even doing it over 5 days, carrying a bit of weight, you're doing 30 odd K a day, a couple of 3,000 meters of climb. They're decent days.
Yeah.
And normally, if I'd been doing that under any other circumstances, it would all have been about, got to get to the finish. This is all about me completing the challenge. It's all about me getting there. And not once in the 5 days did I think that, but what I was thinking was, oh my God, we are creating something amazing here for other people. They are going to love this. They're going to have their minds blown by this. And it was a completely different mindset. Even when we got to the finish line, it wasn't like, oh, wow, we've made it round. It was like, this is going to be cool for people.
Yeah.
So it was a very different sense of reward from all the stuff I've done in the past. And having realized that was a big part of the reward, it's just motivated me more and more to bring it to fruition and do it as well as we possibly can.
It's so good. It's so exciting. And I'm one of those people. I get very just when I climbed up Roy's Peak during the Ultra Easy and I got to the top there, which is for those that don't know Wanaka area, it's like very touristy climb. It's a long climb, but it was the first. But I got up there, and I was like, well, I'm in for a big day from here on out. Yeah. It is next level beauty. Like, if you've not been to New Zealand, it is when you think about, like, the textbook definition of what a mountain looks like. That's what it is. And there's a certain energy that comes out of it, and so I think I can see your excitement about creating this mission for people. And I guess it's still a long way out. We're still almost 18 months out from it happening. And so I imagine that would be it's probably, given the current state of the world, it's probably a good thing that you've got a bit of time.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, originally it was going to be December this year. In fact, I think very originally we somehow thought it would be December last year. We were never going to get our shit together in time for that. But then we did aim for December this year, and when it became apparent that borders weren't opening as quickly as we anticipated they might, and this pandemic was still raging, it was like, well, no, that's crazy, because it is the kind of event that people want to get on the calendar a year out. They want to be, as you said, it's kind of your prime focus for next year. And you can't really have this as one of your, well, certainly not doing the miler. You can't have it as a B race. It's got to be a prime focus.
Unless perhaps, and
that means getting it on the calendar a long way out. So
even someone like Killian, it might be one of his A races. I
would hope so. He'll be too busy. He's probably going to be too busy doing skimo in Europe. But hey,
you can dream, though.
And we know people who know him. We might never know.
There's plenty of amazing athletes out there that I'm sure. I mean, you've already got a couple of great athletes signed up for the event, haven't you? And have you got have the 100 miler? Has it sold out yet, or is it? Have you still got places going?
We're getting close. So we originally had 150 places. and on opening night we sold 135 of them.
Yeah,
which completely blew us away.
Yeah,
and so we have now.
Those videos were bloody. Those bloody videos. Yeah, they did it.
I think they probably helped things along. My good friend Ben did the filming for that, and he did a brilliant job.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, but we got another 50 places, so we now have 200.
Oh wow!
Last time I looked, we've got about 30 places left. So we're not, we're not got. We've given permission. We've given the warrant of wildness that you have. Don't you?
Yes, I do.
We've given out more than 200 of those. So there are people sitting on their warrant of wildness that haven't used it yet. But we know that there's more than 200 people have qualified, but
still going to get in. Yeah.
Their entries in yet. So if people are tempted, I probably wouldn't hang around too long, because 200 is definitely the limit. It won't be going above that.
Yeah, I think logistically you're going to have a lot on your hands, even with 200 people, to make sure the welfare and whatnot of everyone out on course. And I can't. I mean, having known, doing races and stuff here, and what the stress and anxiety that race directors go through over the period from the moment the race starts, or from well before it starts, but particularly during the race. They don't. And the 50 miler, how many places have you got for that? Have you got more people?
Yeah, we got 300 spots on that, and we've currently sold. We're definitely over half those sold. I think we're sitting at around 160, something like that. So there's still a fair few places on that. And I personally, if I was going to enter, which obviously I'm not going to, I'd probably be going for the 50 mile.
Tell me now.
Well,
not too late.
There is a great allure to doing the 100 mile, but you know in advance that you're in for a sufferfest. Any 100 mile, it's 11,000 meters of climb with a 50-hour cut off. You know you're in for a sufferfest.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not to say that you won't have type 2 fun and that you'll get to the end and go, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah.
But there will be some very deep, dark patches that you have to fight through. That's guaranteed.
That's part and parcel, mate.
I think the 50 mile it's a really, you do the same course for the first 65 kilometers. So most of it, most of the 50 mile course is the first half of the 100 mile course. And you share the same finish as well. So it is in itself, again, a perfect loop, a beautiful and challenging journey. And, it's going to really push people who aren't used to big mountain running.
Yeah.
But you're going to get to the end, you're going to have a massive sense of achievement, even though it's only 50 miles. It's 80 odd K in the mountains. It's a big run. You're going to have a massive sense of achievement, but you're not going to have to go through those deep, deep, dark places.
Maybe not as many.
So there's more type 1 fun as well as the type 2 fun sprinkled into the mix of the 50 miler, and it's a stunning journey in its own right.
And you get some good stuff as well mixed in there. I've got. What's funny, because here in Adelaide, I've already got a number of friends that have signed up for the 100 miler. I've got at least 2 people I know who've signed up for the miler, and one
You've got a lot of people coming over from Oz for it. It's great.
I know. Well, they better make it easy for us to travel over there. Otherwise, I'll have to get a canoe and paddle over. I don't know.
That would make for an interesting little duathlon, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. But got a few friends, and I guess people, itching to get over there, and because once the borders do open more internationally, you'll have. I personally think there'll be a lot of internet athletes from the Northern Hemisphere that will want to travel as well, because. Hopefully, but at the end of the day, I mean, the quality of a race isn't just about how fast people run it. It's obviously there's so much more to it. It's the community, and that's why I think I love the community of the trail running community wherever I go. Have ever been. It's sort of there's the same sort of sense of camaraderie. It's almost like an unwritten law.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a special thing, and that's again something that hard rock has in spades, obviously. And we're not trying to be a direct copy of Hard Rock, but there's so much that's good about that event that you want to be able to incorporate into something that is inspired by it. So that whole family feel that they've created, and which most ultras have, is very dear to our hearts, and it's something we're really trying to work hard on making sure we create and maintain over the years, because hopefully this will still be going when I'm dead and buried. Yeah.
Well, it'd be a hell of a legacy, that's for sure.
Might have to get bastard into put on my gravestone.
Well, that's what everyone will be calling you, probably in that last section that you described earlier.
I'll be very disappointed if they're not. There's no point. There's no point in designing a 100-mile mountain ultra unless people call you bastard at least once on the way around, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. But no, I absolutely think it's fantastic, and that's one of the things I wanted to ask you. Like, you've done these amazing adventures on the trails, and you've been involved. You've been a part of the trail running community, I guess, on an international level for a very long time. But like, how much have you noticed that things have changed even in the last 5 to 10 years? Like, it's really just grown, and what do you think about the direction of it in the future?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it has. I mean, well, trail running per se has grown massively. Even 10 years ago, I don't know that we really even used the term trail running.
No.
It came out of North America, didn't it? I mean, I've been running on trails off-road for 25 plus years, but we always used to just say, well, I'm a runner, and we run in the bush, or I run off-road. We didn't actually have it wasn't a title for the sport. We were just a runner of another kind.
Yeah.
And now it's a very well established term. It's a very well organized sport, and growing at exponential rate, it would seem. But certainly I guess the biggest trend of all is the trend towards ultra distances. And I do have mixed feelings about it, and it's quite tricky, because I'm one of the last people that should ever. I'm in no position whatsoever to discourage people from doing ultras. I've done quite the opposite for a long time. But the caveat is that I do worry a little bit that more and more people are doing ultras, not because they really want to or because they're physically well suited to doing it, but they feel they should, and that they're not worthy unless they do. And
like when people
I see a lot of people are really, it's like, why don't you do it like a 25k and really enjoy it?
Yes.
And there is so much good stuff happens from 5k through to 40k that's not an ultra race, and yet in this day and age they haven't. People somehow feel that they're not worthy of doing those distances, and that bugs me. That kind of upsets me. I did a race. I don't do a lot of racing these days, but I went up to Auckland a few weeks ago and did one of the winter series races there. It was 14 kilometres, and
excellent.
It was brilliant. I just redlined it the whole way. At a battle royal with an old mate of mine in the same age group, and just went red line for an hour and a half and loved it to death. And it's like, wow, that is better than any ultra I've run in the last few years, which just turned into pity fests and suffer fests. And why does everyone want to run a long distance? I don't know.
Absolutely.
There's so much that's good about ultra, but I just don't want it to become the only thing for people to aspire to in running, because there is so much more to it.
Yeah, I feel very much the same way, because I mean, a 20 or half marathon on the trails is very different to 100 kilometers on the trails, or whatever, because it's still an adventure. It is hard, but you have to run it differently. You have to fuel it differently. I love that sense of going fast, and you can't really get that sense in an ultra. In an ultra, it's a plod fest, and it can, and you, and then,
I think we will. At the same time as like New Zealand's just about to have its first 200-mile event that needs to be in a couple of weeks' time. At the same time as we keep pushing out that boundary, I think there will be a counter trend. And it was interesting. I was up the West Coast this weekend just gone in Reefton at an inaugural ultra event, and talking to a few people who, like me, were doing the non-ultra alternative, which was that lovely 33K course.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are people who I would have been expecting to do the longer distance. And they all said, no, I've kind of come to realize that I can't race ultra all the time, and I've got to mix it up a bit. And I'm really looking forward to going short and just going a bit harder.
Yeah.
And I think that is the seed of that realization of a lot of ultra runners.
Yeah.
The joy comes from mixing it up, doing different things. That if you do too much ultra and only ultra, that you become a very what's the word I'm looking for? You want a
one-dimensional,
very one-dimensional, very unidimensional kind of a runner.
Yes,
you become good at plodding and seeing your way through and getting mentally tough, but you lose the speed, you lose a bit of the agility, you lose a lot of the stuff that's really gives you a hell of a lot of joy when it's going well. So
I could not agree more.
Yeah.
I tell you, American athlete who I'm really I've been a fan of for a long time. Got a lot of respect for him. He's a nice guy, and you probably know of him, Sage Canaday. Are you familiar?
Oh yes, Sage.
Yeah, Sage, and he's done a lot of great stuff. I know he's been to New Zealand and competed in a number of races, but his motto is any surface, any distance.
That's right. So I like that.
Yeah, it's great. It's just like, so in the summer he focuses. He goes from the road marathons to back into the mountains. I mean, he lives in Colorado, and so he's got the option. But like I'm a bit the same, and I think I would like to still be running till I am no longer alive. I want that to be my. So I think if you want to keep the longevity in it, you've got to mix it up a bit. And I never mixed. I didn't for a long time. I mean, this is still ultras. I've done quite a few 100K races, and for a long time, people were like, "Oh, well, when are you going to do a 100-miler?" And I'm like, I don't really feel ready for 100 miles. Like maybe fitness-wise, I'm pretty close to it. And it wasn't until this year I finally did my first miler after years and years of running ultras. And it's like, it's not something I want to do real often, And then I've had we just had the first 200-miler here in South Australia. We had the Irrational South 200-miler, and that was a sufferfest, but for different reasons, because it was bleak and windy the whole time. And I had a few guys who I coached in it, and they did really well. But I just watching what they went through, and I was so impressed with them. But I said to my wife, she can leave me if I ever sign up for one of these. She has, I have no desire. I mean, I'm 42, and I figure I've got probably another 10 or so years of pretty good running. But I don't want to shorten it by going out and doing 200. No, thank you. I do like the idea of a miler of 100 miles where you can it might be the best part of 2 days, and then that's it, So you get it over and done with, and not spend months recovering. So I'd be interested to see how where this journey ends, and because now also we've got the backyard ultras, it becomes quite a fascinating thing, 6.7.
I don't know where it ends.
I don't know if that's
the backyard ultras again are a bit of a mystery to me personally. I mean, I kind of get it. I get I want to explore the outer zones of what might be possible for me mentally and physically. I kind of get the intrigue with discovering that.
Yeah.
for me personally, I can think of much more enjoyable ways of discovering those limits and having multi-day adventures in the mountains.
It's funny.
Which during the high 50, 50 peaks and 50 days, I found my limit. I have no doubt whatsoever that I discovered my breaking point. Yeah. But I had an awful lot of fun doing it. It wasn't going round and round in circles in some plantation forest and on the edge of a city.
Yeah.
And I'm not, each to their own. By all means, go for it. But it doesn't do much for me.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that 50 and 50 again, if I always look at races and any run as a democracy in kilometres, and I sort of think would the majority of your kilometres, did they fall into the negative or positive camp? So the way I said, like, I call it a good run because you always have bad kilometres or negative kilometres where the overall experience was obviously was good. Would you say?
Oh, the bank account was definitely in credit at the end. Yeah. The bank of kilometres was definitely in credit. I had a rotten period first couple of weeks with injury and illness, and there was a lot of painful kilometres in there. But when I popped out from that, it was a 7-week project, and 5 of the 7 weeks were glorious. And generally, the first half hour of the day was hard, sort of getting going again. But then once we were going, I had fresh company each day. I was going quite often somewhere I'd never been before. I was going into the mountains. I was climbing a peak. It was like, what's not to love? It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And,
no, it's amazing.
To me, it's an absolutely essential element of, I can't go and suffer just for the sake of suffering and discovering how much I can suffer. I need some adventure to go with it. I need some sense of exploration and journey and fun.
Yeah,
I make no apologies for that.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite trail that you get out on a regular basis? Like, what's your go-to trail?
Ooh, well, I live in Wanaka, so we've got quite a lot to choose from.
Sport for choice.
Favorite
peak?
Really hard to come up with a.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, most of the peaks around here I've done lots of times. So to me, the best trail in any month is the one that I ran for the first time.
Yeah.
I just get such a buzz out of doing new stuff. But as soon as I've done things a few times, even if they're mind-blowingly gorgeous, they tend to fade in my ranking. But the Motatapu trail here, which runs from Lake Wanaka through to Arrowtown, and which we cover a bit of in the wild on the 100-mile course. And in fact, on the 50 as well, there's a little bit of it. That is it's a 50 kilometer run through there, and it's that's brilliant. So I've had to, if you forced me into a corner, made me choose one.
No,
I could run that many times before I got bored of it. That's for sure.
That's what I want to hear. Yeah, no, it's great. No, I mean, I just think there's some trails that you get a bit of a connection with. I know that, like, on my local trails, some that I just enjoy. For almost, I can't even put my finger on why. I just enjoy running certain trails. They just flow nicely, or they, the view is good. And different times of the year as well. Different trails look different and they feel different. But I mean, I won't keep you for too much longer. But what I was going to ask you, so people, I want you to give us a final plug of the wild and whatever else you've got. If you've got anything else coming up in the next. However long, the next 12 months. So,
sorry, a final what on the wild?
Oh, the wild. Give it a plug. What have you got?
I'll give it a final plug.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. The sales pitch. Is this the elevator pitch? Is it?
Yeah, the elevator pitch. That's it. So why should we do it? We just spent the last however long talking about why we should do it. It's a bloody.
I think it's pretty much summed up in the title. It's called the Wild Epic Mountain Runs, and we've got 3 options: 20, 50, 100 miles. But they are all epic in their own way. They're all what I would call a very pure journey. They're a loop that starts and finishes at a fantastic place, Coronet Peak Ski Field. They all go through stunning mountains. They're all a challenge, and I think will be an adventure that people will remember for a lifetime. And hopefully, we have some people starting with the 20, coming back to do the 50, and eventually doing the 100.
Yeah.
There's the opportunity there to progress through those distances as well. But certainly what we're aiming to give people is a lifetime of memories on that. So fingers crossed we pull it off.
I'm very confident. I'm excited, and I'm bringing my whole family and my wife. Most likely, my wife will probably sign up for the 20 miler. And we'll bring the kids as well. And I don't know, we'll have to bring some other people to take care of the kids.
And we're basing the start finish line is up at Coronet Peak ski area, but the race village, if you like, will also be based out of Arrowtown. Which have you visited Arrowtown? You've been?
I have. It's like a historic mining town, isn't it?
Yeah, really cool old mining town.
Yeah.
A bit like Bright in some ways. I've not been to Bright, but from what I understand,
it is a lot like Bright. History. I've been to Bright,
yeah, lovely little town. It's to me, it's trail central for New Zealand.
Right.
To me, it's the best town for trail running because you're straight out the door. You just got a plethora of trail to choose from, and it all goes into the mountains where we're running on the wild. So it's actually a really good base. So we'll be doing briefings and most of the prize giving registration in Arrowtown. So it's a really good place for people to base themselves. And if you're coming with family, there's lots of other stuff for the family to do. And lots of nice sort of low-level river trails around there as well for people to jump on a mountain bike and go and explore. So it's I think it'll be quite a nice family-friendly setup there as well. Yeah. Which is something we want to achieve.
It's so good. And the last thing I wanted to, I just can't wait. I just wish it was this year, but I'm sort of glad. In some ways, I'm glad
it's not.
Because otherwise it'll just get cancelled anyway. Probably because the last thing is your film. I haven't actually had a chance to watch it. Where can I find it? Where can a person find the High Five?
50 the movie.
Yeah.
If you go on to Vimeo.
Vimeo,
Vimeo, and you search 50 the movie.
Oh, there you go.
50 as in FIFTY, not
the number. Yep.
It's available on Vimeo. You can download it from there.
Lovely.
So that's the it's a full length. Hour 29 is on there. There's also a festival length version on there as well.
Yeah, fantastic. I'll find the link and then I'll share it in the show notes because I think there's a lot of people who do love a good running documentary, and I'm one of them. And so this,
cool.
yeah. So it's very good.
I can. I'll flick you a link if you want when we're done.
Yeah, great.
There's featured in there. There is actually two of the peaks that we go over that you'll be going over on the wild. Are featured in the movie as well, so another way of getting a little look.
I'll take some notes.
But of course, if people do want to get a really good sort of close-up look at the course, then that series of videos we've got on YouTube, which you can get a link to from the website, from the Wild website, which is thewild100.co.nz. They give a really good picture of just how spectacular it all is. Yeah,
I've got one more question for you. What would your best training advice be? This is coming from you, like the mountain man. What would the best training advice be for someone who doesn't live? I'm actually pretty lucky because I've got some hills, But what if you're coming from somewhere, for the flat lander who wants to run the mountains and he's going to come over and do the wilds?
Get here early
and run up all the mountains.
3 months before.
Yeah.
In all seriousness,
be fit.
It's really, really, really hard to train for something like this if you don't have decent sized hills round about you. I mean, to give you an idea, probably the biggest continuous climb on the wild course is something around 1,500 meters. Yeah, and there's 3 or 4 climbs of 1,000 meters in excess of 1,000 meters in one
vertical gain, and
vertical gain. So you can't replicate that doing a 100-meter climb over and over and over and over. You've really got to you have to travel somewhere and find some hills. And for me, it's not about trying to run up those things. The best way to train for the wild, I think, is to put a weight on your back. Put a decent sized pack on your back, fill it up with
with rocks.
Food, rice, rocks, whatever you need to, get a good 5, 6, 7 kg in there.
Yeah,
and
up and
hit
down
those hills. And poles. Bring your poles and practice with your poles. And
I've got my poles.
Good. Yeah. And as you rightly said right at the start, you need to be strong and hill fit to get up the hills. But what's going to crucify you if you're not properly prepared is the downhills.
Yes.
So the downhill training is every bit as important as the uphill training. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. What goes up must come down. And no, that's pretty good advice. And I will. I'll take it to heart too, because this will be my hardest thing to date. Even if I was only doing the 50 miler, I reckon it would have been. It's going to be that. So it's very exciting. And Malcolm. So it's been really great talking to you today, and I'm sure.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, plenty of our listeners will be super excited to hear about it. And I know that you're known in the South Australian running community here. I think from your various adventures, and we've got a few Kiwis that have infiltrated us here in Adelaide. I don't know why they would. I'd be over there if I was them. I'd trade places.
I didn't embarrass myself too much when I came over for Eurobilla, I don't think. So hopefully people don't remember me.
I doubt it. Yeah, I'm sure you did great. Well, we'll say farewell to the podcast here, but don't go anywhere. So thank you, Malcolm Law.
Thank you, Daniel. Lovely talking to you.